To understand the identity of the chosen ones, you must first understand that being chosen is not about status, applause, or public recognition. It is about responsibility. It is about being entrusted with purpose. Many people desire visibility, but few are willing to carry the weight of assignment. The chosen ones are often shaped in private before they are revealed in public. Their strength is developed in seasons where no one is watching. Their character is refined through challenges that test integrity, patience, and endurance. If you have endured seasons that felt isolating, if you have carried burdens that others could not see, if you have been misunderstood while striving to remain faithful to what burns inside you, these are not random experiences. They are indicators of preparation. The chosen identity is not built on perfection, but on perseverance. It is formed through resilience, through getting up again after disappointment, through choosing discipline when distraction is easier. You do not stumble into being chosen, you grow into it. It requires awareness that your life carries influence, that your decisions echo beyond yourself, and that your growth is connected to the growth of others. When you recognize this identity, you stop shrinking to fit small spaces and start expanding to meet the calling attached to your life. Understanding this identity also means rejecting the lie that chosen means comfortable. The chosen path often requires bold decisions, uncommon focus, and the courage to walk differently from the crowd. It demands alignment between belief and action. You cannot claim a higher calling while maintaining lower standards. The chosen ones guard their minds, manage their time wisely, and commit to continual growth because they know their capacity affects their impact. They do not wait for perfect conditions. They cultivate readiness. They take ownership of their weaknesses and actively work to strengthen them. They accept correction, pursue wisdom, and remain teachable. This identity is not rooted in arrogance, but in clarity. It is the clarity that says, I am here for a reason. I have been preserved for a purpose, and because of that, I must live intentionally. When this understanding settles in your spirit, excuses lose their power. Comparison loses its grip. Fear loses its dominance. You begin to move with conviction instead of confusion. You begin to speak with confidence instead of hesitation. The identity of the chosen ones is not a label to boast about. It is a standard to live up to. And once you truly understand it, you cannot return to living casually. There are moments in life when timing feels ordinary, and then there are moments when everything shifts beneath your feet. Recognizing divine timing begins with awareness. It is the ability to sense that a season has changed even before the results are visible. The divine hour does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives with a deep inner conviction that delay is no longer acceptable. You begin to feel restless with mediocrity. You become uncomfortable with routines that once satisfied you. Opportunities start appearing that align with long-held desires and quiet prayers. This is not coincidence. It is alignment. The urgency you feel is not pressure to panic, but a signal to prepare and move. When the right time approaches, clarity increases. Decisions that once felt complicated become simple. The cost of inaction becomes greater than the fear of action. Recognizing this hour requires discernment. It requires you to step back from distraction and evaluate what is unfolding around you and within you. If doors are opening, if growth is accelerating, if vision is sharpening, these are indicators that the window for movement has arrived. The worst mistake in a divine hour is hesitation, not because caution is wrong, but because prolonged delay can close doors that were meant to be walked through. Urgency does not mean recklessness. It means responsiveness. When you recognize that this is your hour, you do not move impulsively. You move intentionally and without unnecessary delay. Many people miss critical seasons because they overanalyze every step until the opportunity fades. The divine hour demands courage balanced with wisdom. It requires you to trust the preparation you have already gone through. You have learned enough. You have grown enough. You have endured enough to take the next step. Waiting for perfect certainty can become a disguised form of fear. Instead, act on the clarity you have today. Make the call, submit the application, launch the idea, begin the discipline, speak the truth. Small actions taken in the right season carry multiplied impact. This is why urgency matters. Time is a resource that cannot be reclaimed. When this hour passes, it will not return in the same form. Recognizing divine timing means valuing the present moment as sacred. It means understanding that hesitation can cost destiny. When you sense the shift, respond with faith. Move with confidence. The hour is not coming. It is here. There comes a point where delay is no longer harmless. Awakening from delay, doubt, and distraction begins with honesty. You must admit where you have been postponing growth, where you have allowed uncertainty to keep you inactive, and where distractions have consumed energy that should have been invested in purpose. Delay often disguises itself as preparation. You tell yourself you are waiting for the right time, the right support, the right confidence. But deep inside, you know when waiting has turned into avoidance. Doubt strengthens when it is fed by inaction. The longer you sit on a vision, the more intimidating it becomes. Distraction then steps in to keep you busy but unproductive. You fill your schedule with small tasks while the meaningful assignment remains untouched. Awakening requires a shift in awareness. It requires recognizing that comfort has quietly become a cage. The chosen ones cannot afford to live half awake. Your calling demands alertness. When you awaken, you begin to see clearly how much time has slipped by and how much potential still remains. Instead of condemning yourself for past delays, you use that realization as fuel. You decide that procrastination will no longer dictate your pace. You interrupt patterns that have limited your progress. You reclaim focus. Awakening is not dramatic, it is decisive. It is the quiet but firm decision that from this moment forward, you will move with intention. Breaking free from doubt and distraction requires discipline. Doubt questions your ability, your timing, and your worth. It reminds you of mistakes and magnifies them. But doubt loses power when confronted with action. Each small step you take builds evidence against the voice that says you cannot. Distraction must also be managed intentionally. Not everything that is good is necessary. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. Focus is a form of protection. When you guard your time and energy, you create space for meaningful progress. Awakening means setting boundaries around what drains you and prioritizing what develops you. It means replacing endless scrolling with learning, replacing excuses with effort, replacing hesitation with commitment. The truth is simple. Progress begins when you move. You do not need complete confidence to start. You need willingness. As you act, clarity grows. As you commit, momentum builds. The fog of doubt begins to lift. The grip of distraction weakens. You discover that the power to shift your season was always within reach. Awakening is not about becoming someone new. It is about stepping fully into who you were meant to be. And once you are fully awake, returning to passive living is no longer an option. Walking in faith over fear is a daily decision, not a one-time declaration. Fear will always present itself when you stand at the edge of growth. It shows up when you are about to make a meaningful decision, when you are preparing to step into unfamiliar territory, or when you are called to operate at a higher level of responsibility. Fear speaks in practical-sounding language. It tells you to wait until you are more secure, more skilled, more certain. It reminds you of past failures and suggests that history will repeat itself. Faith does not deny risk, but it refuses to be ruled by it. Faith evaluates the same situation and chooses to believe that preparation has not been wasted, that strength has been developed, and that progress is possible. Walking in faith means acting even when emotions are unsettled. It means trusting that clarity will increase as you move forward. You do not eliminate fear by waiting. You weaken fear by advancing. Each step taken despite hesitation strengthens confidence. Over time, you realize that fear shrinks when confronted and expands when avoided. The chosen ones are not those who never feel afraid. They are those who refuse to allow fear to decide their future. Faith also requires discipline of thought. You cannot walk confidently while constantly rehearsing negative outcomes. The mind must be trained to focus on possibility rather than paralysis. This does not mean ignoring challenges. It means choosing a constructive response to them. When obstacles arise, faith looks for solutions instead of surrendering to frustration. It asks, what can be learned here? What adjustment can be made? What action can be taken next? Fear says, retreat. Faith says, respond. Fear magnifies limitations. Faith magnifies growth. To consistently walk in faith, you must guard your influences. Surround yourself with voices that reinforce courage and wisdom rather than panic and doubt. Feed your mind with truth that strengthens resolve. Take measured risks that expand capacity. With each intentional action, you build a track record of resilience. You begin to trust yourself more. You recognize that previous challenges did not destroy you, they refined you. Walking in faith over fear is not dramatic or loud. It is steady, intentional, and persistent. It is choosing progress when retreat feels easier. It is choosing responsibility when avoidance feels comfortable. And in that consistent choice, you step fully into the life that was waiting for your courage. Breaking generational limitations begins with awareness. Many patterns do not start with you, yet they attempt to end with you. You may have inherited mindsets shaped by scarcity, fear of risk, silence in the face of opportunity, or acceptance of less than your full potential. These limitations often feel normal because they are familiar. They are reinforced by phrases you heard growing up, by examples you observed, and by environments that shaped your expectations. But being chosen means you cannot live on autopilot. You must evaluate what you have inherited and decide what deserves to continue and what must stop. Not every tradition is harmful, yet some beliefs quietly restrict growth. If you were taught to play small, to avoid attention, to avoid ambition, to prevent disappointment, or to settle because striving felt unrealistic, those ideas must be challenged. Breaking limitations does not mean dishonoring your background. It means honoring your potential. It requires courage to think differently than those before you. It requires willingness to pursue education, discipline, and opportunity, even when no one around you has done so. The moment you recognize a limiting pattern, you gain power over it. You are no longer unconsciously repeating history. You are consciously rewriting it. Transformation, however, demands consistent action. You cannot break generational cycles through inspiration alone. You break them through new habits, new standards, and new decisions repeated over time. If financial instability marked previous generations, you study stewardship and practice discipline. If poor communication damaged relationships, you learn emotional intelligence and apply it. If fear prevented bold moves, you cultivate calculated courage. Each responsible choice creates a new reference point for those watching you. Understand that breaking limitations is not only personal, it is influential. Someone is observing how you handle pressure, opportunity, and adversity. When you respond differently, you create a new normal. There may be resistance. Some may question your growth because it challenges their comfort. Stay steady. Progress often disrupts familiar patterns before it establishes healthier ones. Breaking generational limitations is not about proving superiority. It is about expanding possibility. It is about ensuring that struggle is not passed down unchanged. You become the example of what is possible with discipline and vision. And once a new standard is set, it becomes easier for others to rise. What once felt impossible becomes attainable because you decided it would no longer end the way it began. Embracing discipline, obedience, and bold action requires maturity. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction, but in reality, it is structure that protects your potential. Without discipline, vision remains an idea. With discipline, vision becomes progress. It is the daily decision to do what is necessary, even when motivation fluctuates. It is choosing consistency over convenience. The chosen ones understand that talent alone is not enough. Passion alone is not enough. There must be order in your habits, focus in your schedule, and accountability in your execution. Obedience in this context means alignment with the principles and convictions that guide your purpose. It means honoring commitments, respecting timing, and responding promptly when clarity comes. When you sense direction, you do not delay with endless negotiation. You move with respect for the opportunity in front of you. Bold action does not mean careless action. It means courageous follow-through. Many people receive ideas, but few implement them. Many feel inspired, but few sustain effort. Discipline builds the bridge between inspiration and achievement. When you embrace it, you stop relying on mood and start relying on commitment. That shift alone changes outcomes. Bold action also requires letting go of perfectionism. Waiting for flawless conditions can quietly become another form of delay. Discipline teaches you to start with what you have and refine as you grow. Obedience reminds you to stay aligned even when distractions invite you to compromise. Boldness pushes you to speak when silence would be easier, to lead when stepping back would feel safer, to initiate when others hesitate. There will be moments when taking action feels uncomfortable. That discomfort is often a sign of expansion. Growth stretches capacity. Responsibility stretches character. When discipline governs your routine, obedience guides your direction, and bold action fuels your movement, momentum becomes natural. You begin to see measurable progress. Small wins accumulate. Confidence strengthens because it is supported by effort. The chosen path is not sustained by emotion, it is sustained by structure. Each day you choose to act with intention, you reinforce your identity as someone reliable, focused, and prepared. Over time, what once required effort becomes habit, and what once felt intimidating becomes manageable. Embrace the structure, respect the direction, take the step. Progress responds to disciplined courage. Aligning purpose with destiny begins with clarity. Many people move through life reacting to circumstances instead of intentionally directing their path. Purpose is the inner conviction that your life carries meaning beyond routine survival. Destiny is the long-term impact created when that purpose is consistently pursued. Alignment happens when your daily decisions reflect your deeper values. It requires honest reflection. What truly matters to you? What strengths have you developed through experience? What problems do you feel compelled to solve? When you ignore these questions, you drift. When you confront them, direction becomes sharper. Alignment is not about chasing every opportunity. It is about selecting the opportunities that resonate with your core assignment. This demands focus. Not every door deserves your attention. Some opportunities may look impressive, but distract from your greater objective. When purpose and action are disconnected, progress feels empty. You may achieve milestones yet feel unfulfilled. But when your work, habits, and relationships reflect your deeper calling, fulfillment grows even during challenging seasons. Alignment reduces internal conflict. You no longer live divided between what you know you should pursue and what feels comfortable. You make choices that support the future you are building. Over time, those aligned choices compound into measurable impact. Sustaining alignment requires discipline and periodic evaluation. As you grow, your understanding of purpose may mature, skills improve, responsibilities increase, new opportunities arise. Alignment means adjusting when necessary without abandoning your core direction. It also requires courage to release paths that no longer serve your long-term vision. Sometimes, destiny demands separation from environments that limit growth. That decision can feel difficult, yet remaining misaligned is more costly. When purpose and destiny are synchronized, energy increases because effort feels meaningful. You wake up with intention rather than confusion. You measure success not only by external recognition, but by internal consistency. Progress becomes steady because it is guided by clarity. Alignment also strengthens resilience. When challenges appear, you endure because you understand why you started. Purpose provides motivation. Destiny provides perspective. Together, they anchor your focus. The chosen ones do not wander aimlessly. They evaluate, adjust, and continue moving with conviction. Every aligned decision becomes a building block. Every intentional action reinforces direction. And as alignment deepens, your life begins to reflect the vision that once existed only in thought. Purpose lived consistently becomes destiny fulfilled through disciplined steps. Moving immediately with confidence and authority requires a decisive mindset. There are seasons for preparation and seasons for execution. When execution time arrives, overthinking becomes a barrier. Confidence in this context is not loud or boastful. It is quiet assurance built from preparation, experience, and reflection. You know the work you have invested. You understand the lessons learned from past mistakes. Authority grows from responsibility accepted over time. When you have consistently shown up, honored commitments, and developed your skills, you earn the right to move with certainty. Immediate action does not mean careless speed. It means eliminating unnecessary delay once clarity is present. Many opportunities fade not because people lack ability, but because they hesitate too long. Confidence strengthens when you trust your preparation. Authority strengthens when your actions match your words. When the moment calls for a decision, you respond instead of retreating. This mindset transforms hesitation into momentum. Instead of asking whether you are capable, you focus on what step must be taken next. Immediate movement creates progress. Progress builds further confidence. It becomes a cycle of growth fueled by decisive action. Authority also involves ownership. You accept both the outcomes and the responsibilities attached to your decisions. You do not blame circumstances for every setback, nor do you shrink when challenges arise. Moving immediately with authority means standing firm in your values while remaining adaptable in strategy. It means communicating clearly, setting boundaries when necessary, and following through without constant external validation. When you act with confidence, others sense stability. Your energy shifts from uncertain to assured. This does not guarantee that every step will be flawless, but it ensures that you are actively shaping your direction instead of passively waiting for change. Authority is strengthened through repetition. Each decisive action reinforces your identity as someone reliable and capable. The more you respond promptly to clear opportunities, the more natural, bold movement becomes. Eventually, hesitation loses its influence because you have built evidence of your competence. This is how momentum is sustained. You recognize the moment, you trust your growth, you take the step, and in doing so, you demonstrate that you are ready not only to receive opportunity but to lead within it.